Let me ask you something. When was the last time you sat in silence and without checking your phone? Yeah, that micro panic you just felt? That's your brain's withdrawal symptoms. Welcome to the digital coliseum, where your attention spans, being body slammed by TikToks, push notifications, and that infinite scroll hellscape you call just 5 minutes. But here's the brutal truth. You're not browsing. You're being programmed. Every swipe, a dopamine hit. Every ping, a leash tightening around your brainstem. You think you're the user? You're the product. Let me paint you a picture. You wake up. First thing you touch? Not your partner, not the ground, your phone. And boom, 27 apps are already fighting to hijack your consciousness before you've even wiped the crust from your eyes. You're not a human anymore. You're a dopamine zombie with Wi-Fi. And the scariest part? You think that's normal? Because modern society loves you like this. Anxious, distracted, overstimulated. It's easier to sell you a $7 latte or a useless crypto coin when your brain is doing backflips in a fog of notifications and FOMO. You are not broken. You are hijacked. You don't lack discipline. You're literally battling trillion-dollar companies designed to outsmart your caveman brain. Your ancestors ran from tigers. You can't even run from a TikTok loop. And guess what? That's not your fault, but it is your responsibility. Because here's the kicker. Once you see the cage, you can start picking the lock. This chapter isn't here to pat your back. It's here to slap your brain awake, to make you uncomfortably aware that most people, 90%, are walking through life like lab rats who think they're lions, but not you, because you're still here, watching, listening, feeling that itch, that tiny spark in your chest that says, maybe I can break out. And you can, but only if you're willing to face the next truth. Because silence might just be your first real weapon. Let me hit you with something savage. The loudest guy in the room is usually the weakest. He's not confident. He's compensating. He doesn't own the room. He's begging it to notice him. Meanwhile, the real weapon? Because when you're calm in a world designed to trigger you, you've already won. You're not the storm. You're the eye of it. Let me tell you what most people don't get. Reacting is easy. Restraint? That's savage discipline. That's why emotional control is the new alpha trait. You let them talk. You let them throw punches in the air. You let them think they're ahead, while you're 10 moves deep in your mental chess game. And here's the beauty. When you stop needing to be right, you become unstoppable. Because now, your ego isn't driving the car. Your clarity is. You're not out here swinging at shadows. You're waiting, watching, lining up your shot. And when the time comes, you strike with precision, not to flex, but because the mission demands it. This chapter isn't about being passive. It's about being surgical. It's about building that cold, unshakable focus that makes people sit up when you finally speak. Because they know when you do, it matters. So stop yelling. Start studying. Stop reacting. Start mastering. Because the 90%, they'll die in the comments section. You're building a mind so silent it roars. But if you really want to level up, you're going to need to rewire your entire operating system. Let me slap you with reality. Your brain is outdated. Yeah, I said it. It was built to dodge tigers and remember where the berries were, not to survive Netflix, DoorDash, and 7-second TikToks with dancing dentists. You're running Stone Age software in a cyberpunk hellscape. And guess what happens to outdated systems? They crash. They lag. They get replaced. Now here's the part that stings. Most people don't think. They react, like emotionally unstable vending machines. Push the right button, anger. Push another, anxiety. Push 3 in a row and boom, mental breakdown with a side of doom scrolling. That's not living. That's being programmed. Let me paint a picture. You wake up. You check your phone. The dopamine flood hits before you even brush your crusty teeth. Emails, likes, hot takes, crypto bros yelling, buy the dip. You're already exhausted by 8 a.m., and you didn't even move. You're not broken. You're just wired for a world that doesn't exist anymore. And if you don't rewire, you'll keep living like emotional putty, squishy, reactionary, and one push notification away from existential dread. But here's the savage truth. Rewiring ain't sexy. It's not motivational. It's war. It's waking up and choosing. Friction over comfort. It's skipping dopamine for discipline. It's deleting that trash. It's saying no when your brain's screaming yes like a toddler in Target. That's the real flex. Not the shredded abs, not the aesthetic workspace with fake plants and $300 headphones. It's the guy who can sit in boredom and build. It's the woman who trades validation for vision. You want to outsmart 90% of people? Delay your gratification. Train your brain like a savage monk with a to-do list. While the world numbs out, you're leveling up. While they chase motivation, you build systems. Because systems don't care how you feel. They work, even when you don't want to. This is what the high performers know. The SEALs, the Stoics, they don't rely on hype. They rely on structure. And if you can master that, you become unstoppable. But here's the kicker. Rewiring starts with pain. That itch in your brain when you say no to the cookie. That scream in your head when you sit in silence instead of tapping the screen. That's not weakness. That's your code updating. So, what's it gonna be? Run prehistoric instincts on 5G Wi-Fi and crash every week, or become the person who outlasts everyone else? Next chapter, we go deeper into the mental weapons that make you untouchable. Let's get this straight. You care way too much about likes, about comments, about Karen from high school thinking. Your story was a little cringe, and that's not your personality. That's your leash. Let me paint a brutal picture. You're out here living like an emotional butler, opening the door for other people's opinions, wiping your self-worth with their approval. You're not free, you're domesticated. Most people, they wear their need for validation like a Gucci dog collar. Shiny, trendy, but still a leash. Now listen close, because here's where we flip the script. We're not talking about not caring in the edgelord dead inside way. This ain't nihilism. It's war strategy. This is the strategic idgaf, not apathy. Precision. You don't numb out. You just learn to filter out the noise like a sniper tuning out a riot. Not everyone deserves your emotional energy. Your care is currency. And you've been out here tipping emotional waiters who never even brought you food. So how do you cut the cord? Start here. Ask yourself, would this person's opinion matter if I was on my deathbed? No? Then why are you rearranging your mental furniture over it? Here's what happens when you stop giving a damn, strategically. You walk into a room, and you don't scan for approval. You walk in like you own oxygen. No flex, no noise, just presence. You don't need to be liked because you're already respected by yourself. And when your inner world gets louder than the outside one, you become untouchable. You stop chasing. You start choosing. You become dangerous in silence. This isn't ego. This is clarity. And that shift, that's the death of your old self. The people-pleasing, soul-draining, tiptoeing version of you, buried. What rises instead is something leaner, sharper. A mind that can sit in a room full of noise and not flinch. A heart that knows when to care and when to walk. And let me tell you, most people, they'll never get here. They're too addicted to the noise, the dopamine, the fake love. But you just leveled up. Now you're not reacting, you're executing, and that's a whole different game. Next up, we're turning that detachment into power. We're building mental armor they won't even see coming.